Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, from coast to coast. This is Walter Hartley speaking with a special bulletin from the WINRAD Broadcasting Service. The war in the Middle East has entered its 18th day. Israel says it has killed one of Iran's most powerful men. Amnesty International has confirmed what many feared about a school full of children, and a 3-day-old baby is among the dead. We take you first to our Washington correspondent, Edward James Whitmore. Edward?
Thank you, Walter. Good evening, America. Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz announced today that an overnight Israeli airstrike has killed Ali Larijani, the Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council. Larijani was the most senior Iranian official still publicly visible since the war began. He had given televised addresses calling for national unity, warned President Trump to pay the price, and emerged as the de facto public face of a regime whose new supreme leader has still not appeared in person. Israel also confirmed the killing of Gholamreza Soleimani, the commander of the Basij paramilitary force. Katz said the IDF would continue pursuing the leadership of what he called the terror and oppression regime in Iran and repeatedly cut off the head of the octopus. This brings the number of senior Iranian officials confirmed killed since February the 28th to more than a dozen, including the original supreme leader, the defense minister, the armed forces chief of staff, and now the head of national security. President Trump announced today that he has asked to delay his upcoming trip to China by a month. The summit with President Xi Jinping had been scheduled for late March. But Trump told reporters he needs to remain in the United States while the conflict is ongoing, saying simply, "We have got a war going on." Vice President Vance publicly backed the president's handling of the war, saying he trusts Trump to get the job done because, in his words, "We have a smart president, whereas in the past we have had dumb presidents." Trump again said the war would be wrapped up soon. Administration officials told CNN they expect the conflict to come to an end within weeks or sooner. Israel told CNN it is planning to strike thousands of additional targets over the next 3 weeks, with potentially more to follow. The United States Central Command has now confirmed that approximately 200 American troops have been injured across 7 countries since the war began. That figure includes personnel wounded in Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Israel. 13 American service members have been killed. Oil remained above $100 a barrel. American gas prices have risen 24% since the war began. And the IRGC issued a fresh warning today that American-linked industrial facilities across the region could come under imminent attack, calling on the United States to evacuate personnel from them. Back to you, Walter.
Thank you, Edward. We go now to our Foreign Affairs correspondent, Theodore Charles Bennett. Theodore?
Thank you, Walter. Amnesty International has released the results of its investigation into the strike on a primary school in the Iranian city of Minab on the first day of the war. The investigation confirms that a United States attack killed at least 170 people, the vast majority of them schoolgirls. This is the first independent confirmation from a major human rights organization that the United States was responsible for the strike. The school was located less than 60 meters from a major IRGC naval base. The U.S. military has said the matter is under investigation. No American official has publicly accepted responsibility. And tonight, the youngest known casualty of this war. A 3-day-old infant and his 2-year-old sister were among those killed in a strike that hit their home in the city of Arak, according to Iran's Revolutionary Guard. Their mother and grandmother were also killed. Press TV reports the family was sleeping when the strike hit. Large explosions were also reported near the Saadabad Palace complex in northern Tehran, with earlier attacks striking central Tehran, Karaj, Shahryar, and Shiraz. The Israeli military says it continues to strike Iranian infrastructure with great intensity, targeting regime assets, suppressing missile launch capabilities, and destroying what it calls key strategic infrastructure across all domains. Israel says it has now conducted more than 7,600 strikes in nearly 5,000 aerial sorties since the war began. The IDF says it is also targeting sites where Iran is believed to be attempting to fortify and conceal components of its nuclear program. President Pezeshkian addressed the nation today, defending Iran's right to self-defense and saying Iran did not start this war and will not surrender to bullies. The IRGC spokesperson told Iranian media that most of Iran's weapons stockpile remains intact and that the missiles being used in this war date from a decade ago. He said Iran has not yet fired the missiles produced since the 12-day war last June. That claim, if true, suggests Iran has been fighting with its older arsenal and holding its newest weapons in reserve.
Theodore, what is the situation across the region tonight?
Walter, the war continues to spread. Israel's ground operation in southern Lebanon expanded today, with Israeli troops operating in new areas and Hezbollah reporting clashes with Israeli soldiers in at least 3 border towns. 900,000 people have been displaced in Lebanon. More than 850 have been killed. In the Gulf, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar all reported intercepting Iranian missiles and drones overnight. Saudi Arabia destroyed more than a dozen drones in its eastern region. A minor fire broke out in an industrial area of Qatar from falling debris. The UAE said its air defenses were responding to incoming threats early this morning. Iran has arrested 18 people accused of working for Iran International, the satellite news channel Tehran accuses of having ties to Israel. Across the region, the conflict has now been documented across at least 12 countries. According to the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, nearly 2,000 distinct military events have been recorded across at least 29 of Iran's 31 provinces. More than 2,300 people have been killed across the Middle East. More than 3 million Iranians have been displaced. The Strait of Hormuz remains effectively closed to Western shipping, though Iran has allowed select vessels from friendly nations to pass. The World Health Organization says at least 18 hospitals have been struck. Iran's Red Crescent reports 65 schools and 32 medical facilities have been targeted since the war began, and the conflict shows no sign of ending. Back to you, Walter.
Thank you, Theodore. Thank you, Edward. Ladies and gentlemen, 18 days. Ali Larijani, the last visible leader of the old regime, has been killed in his bed. A 3-day-old baby has been killed in his. Amnesty International has confirmed that America bombed a school full of girls. 200 American soldiers are wounded across 7 countries. The president has postponed his trip to China because, he says, we have got a war going on. Iran says its newest missiles have not yet been fired. Israel says it has thousands of targets left to hit. And the vice president says we should trust the president because he is smart. 18 days. We shall continue to bring you developments as they occur. This has been a special bulletin from the WINRAD Broadcasting Service. I am Walter Hartley. Stay close to your radio. And now, from the home front.
Hello, ladies. This is Dorothy Wilson. It is Tuesday night, and if your house is anything like mine, you are already thinking about what to put on the table tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. So tonight, I want to give you something quick and cheap and warm. Egg drop soup. Now, do not roll your eyes. This is not the watery stuff from a takeout container. This is the real thing, and it takes about 10 minutes. You need 4 cups of chicken broth. If you have homemade from that chicken you roasted last week, use that. If not, a carton from the store is fine. A box of chicken broth is about $2, and that is most of the recipe right there. Pour it into a pot and bring it to a gentle simmer. While it heats, beat 3 eggs in a bowl with a fork. Just beat them loose. Add a teaspoon of soy sauce to the broth if you have it, and a pinch of ground ginger, or a few slices of fresh ginger if you have that. A half teaspoon of sesame oil if it is in the cupboard. Now here is the trick. Once the broth is simmering, take a fork and slowly drizzle the beaten eggs into the pot in a thin stream while you stir gently with the other hand. The eggs will cook instantly into those beautiful silky ribbons. That is the whole thing. Take it off the heat. Add a pinch of salt if it needs it. Sprinkle some chopped green onion on top if you have any. Serve it in mugs if you like. The children love drinking soup from mugs. It costs less than $1 a serving. It is hot and nourishing and gentle on the stomach on a night when nothing else feels gentle. Good night and God bless.